Hello, greetings and salutations. Wait, that's a little loud. Hello, I was it typing when I could have just said it. Hello, Mika, thank you for the resub. Thank you for 9 months. Time flies by so fast. Clarky, hello, thank you for the banjo. Boom, boom, boom. Thank you. Hello, thank you. How you doing? Happy Sunday. I hope you're having a restful day. Very, like I mentioned in chat. So like I finally enrolled this week, right? When my mom decided that she had enough funds for me to enroll with the tuition and stuff. But even though classes were supposed to start a couple of weeks ago, we haven't had any classes yet because the university itself had a lot of events and the professors were busy. Maybe because it's December. It's December, they're probably having year-end stuff. So, because the uni where I take my MBA, they're also like uni with like undergrad courses. I see Paimon. Yeah, Paimon's there. Paimon. Well, hello, happy Sunday, everyone. Are you about to go to sleep, Fairy? Have a good sleep. She is emergency food. No study. Yes, no study. I secretly, no, not so secretly. I wish there is no more classes for the rest of December. I hope they become like really busy with Christmas festivities and stuff, so that see you next year, class. I really hope the professor says that. I don't even know what my subject is. I think it's something to do with global business again or something like that. She's also, oh yeah, you bought the Temu Paimon, right? Very cookable, very edible. Happy Sunday again. I hope your Sundays are restful and peaceful, and I hope you're getting ready for the week ahead. In here in the Philippines, whenever it's like November, December, the traffic gets even worse, like super worse. Yes, it's hell. I went to touch grass. Was it yesterday? The day before that, Friday. I went with my mom to her office. It was she has a total of 3 Christmas parties to go to. That was the first one. I went with her because she wanted me to go to the mall and look for glasses. Because you guys, I think I mentioned this before. I was gonna ask for glasses as my Christmas present. So while she was partying and kinda working, I went to the mall and chose glasses, and I ended up buying cheap ones. Thank you for cheap glasses, Lord. What was I gonna say? Yeah, it was like only 40 USD total. 40 USD total. It had photochromic lenses that darken when you're in sunlight. Anyway, long story short, our ride home was supposed to be 30 minutes only, but it turned into 2 hours. 2 hours, man. 2 hours on the road. Living in a city is the best during holiday. Everyone make back the hometown. I hope it's like this as well. Well, actually, you are right, thank you. When the 24th hits, everyone will be going to trips, going back to their hometowns. It'll be less traffic. RV, hi Celphy. Oh wait, I see 2 Paimon joke. Wait, 2 Paimon joke. Emergency food. Hello RV, happy Sunday. But yeah, I like holidays. It was each time it's like the actual day of the holiday, the traffic becomes less. I think, yeah. Did you have Christmas party at Clarky? No, because I don't have work. Actually, because I'm doing my MBA, right, Clarky? So a bunch of my classmates had a Christmas party organized, but I didn't come because I'm frankly not very interested in meeting people like that. I mean, I didn't really cultivate any friendship during my online classes. I'm sorry. So I didn't come. I think a lot of them came. They went to a karaoke bar or something like that. Yeah, I went to a karaoke bar. For context though, there's like 200 students in my class. 200 students, and I don't really know any of them unless they become my teammate for projects. So yeah, no Christmas party for me, but I did go to my mom's Christmas party. Even then, I wasn't really there. I was outside the party room because I was so shy. Have you guys had attended Christmas parties? I'm sure exchange gifts are like being done now. Like at work, maybe in school, in friend circles. But yeah, Christmas parties are fun probably in corporate jobs because they have raffles and giveaways. I used to win stuff whenever there was Christmas parties. I'm not joining my yearly friend's Christmas party, Lamau. Mikan, why? Why? Is it gonna be somewhere far away? Or is the ambagan expensive? Just with friends. Just with friends, it's good. Close circle of Christmas party. Mikan, why are you not going? You're just feeling lazy up here. Same. Cause the Christmas party with classmates, it was ambagan for sure. I mean, I could have borrowed or asked my mom for money, but I was just too lazy. I don't wanna commute. I don't wanna socialize. Understandable. At least you're gonna spend actual Christmas Day at home with the fam, right? Just that every time they say they clean after, I clean up after them later because everyone is drunk and I'm also drunk and you're fed up with that. And I understand that. You're kinda like the mom friend of the group. Kinda. And it's kinda unfair that you have to clean up even though you're also drunk. That means they're drunker and lazier than you are. Serves them right. Make them clean after themselves this time, you know? I don't have anything planned for Christmas stream wise. I don't have anything planned. You're drinking too? I drink sometimes, but not today. Not today. It's been a long time since I've drank anything alcoholic. But yeah, I remember the moments when I used to go out a lot, drinking with friends, drinking with office mates specifically. Christmas drinking stream. I'm just gonna drink vodka. I still have some. Go have some vodka. They say that vodka is one of the... It's pretty cool when you're drunk on vodka because they can't smell vodka on you. That's what they said. I don't know if that's true. Clarky, are you gonna do a Christmas drinking stream? I do owe a Christmas mukbang. Somebody redeemed the mukbang thing before and I have to do that for Christmas. What else is there to do for Christmas karaoke? I don't wanna do that. That's why I have to sing a Christmas song redeem. Ow, ow, ow. Why is my tummy starting to hurt right now? But anyway, believe it or not, I'm still not done with the Genshin main story that I started a long time ago and even did 2 parts for that. Now this is the 3rd part, Christmas karaoke RV. There's... I don't think we're gonna do an actual Christmas karaoke stream, but I do have a redeem if you wanna check it out, where I can sing a Christmas song in the middle of nowhere if someone redeems it. I forgot to lower down the price for that. I think it's 7,000 points right now. Let me just lower it. Lower the thing. Where is it? Sing Christmas song is 5,000. I think that's fair, right? 5,000? Do I need to lower it? Sucks to play Genshin when the world... Wait, where Winsmith? Paimon mysteriously disappears. Lower the thing. Okay, let's put it to 3. Let's cut it down to 3. 50% off. Wait, Mikan, what do you mean by the WWM Paimon? What do you mean? What do you mean? Viewer rewards, power up, watch streaks, channel points. Yo, I love you.
Devilyaki just traded with 2 viewers.
Devilyaki is my favorite food. Thank you so much for the raid. Hi, happy Saturday. Hello, Yaki. Welcome, raiders. Hi, hi, hi. Cat gang raid, cat gang raid. Hehehe. How was stream? How was stream? Did you become maid? Did you become maid in the end? Go check out Yaki, guys. A lot of you already know Yaki, but still, if you have not, click on the name, click on the username, and click follow. Onegaishimasu. But yeah, we're doing Genshin again. I have not had time to finish the main story. I love you. Because I've been busy with Werewolves Meet. I'm almost at 100 hours or where winds meet. Thank you again for the raid. Arigato, my favorite food. Yum 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 yum. Yum 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 yum. Wait. Rat, hello Rat. Hello my cute friend Rat. Hi, hello. Rat, I have something to tell you. Just a bit. I see Awaku. I turned on Twitch because Yaki opened the VTuber app. But surprise, it was me. I'm the one streaming. Hello, Waku. How you doing? Kirito, fun fact. If you type 67 on Google and Google it, you get a funny animation. Have a great stream and wonderful day, bro. Kirito, is that true? If it doesn't work, I'm gonna hunt you down. 67 on Google. Nothing happened. I didn't get a funny animation. Hey, well, you do well. Is it almost your dinner time? What do you have to tell me? Wait, I should tell you first before we do the 67 on Google. It's a scam. I can show you my world. Wait, what was I gonna say? Yeah, you know how my family went to Japan recently, right? And I think my mama feels a tinge of guilt or feeling sorry or pity for me for something like that. And she's like, when I retire, I think I'm gonna have like a good sum of money. Maybe we can go on a trip of our own. And at first she was like, let's go to Europe. Let's go on a cross-country trip. Let's go to Italy, Switzerland, what have you. And we were like, yeah, I'm so excited for that. But then we realized it's gonna be like super duper expensive, and then the next day she was like, you know what, maybe we can narrow down our trip to something closer. Asia, perhaps. That's like, Asia? You know what, Mom? Russia is technically Asia. Russia, we can go to Russia, right? And she was like, yeah, but I'm not sure I wanna go to Russia. And you know what, Mama? It's not Asia, but it's still closer than Europe. New Zealand. And she was like, yes, New Zealand. So yeah, we're kind of daydreaming about going to New Zealand. Maybe not. Hopefully, yes. So yeah, that's the story. In a year or two, we might go to New Zealand if we can afford it. Go to Russia, then go to Belarus. Is Belarus close to Russia? Isn't Russia at war at the moment? I'm not sure. Isn't Russia always at war or something? My mom, she's gonna retire in a year or two. She hasn't decided yet if she's gonna extend her retirement because she works for the government, and if she extends her retirement, she might get a better retirement pay, So that's it. Australia. We were thinking of Australia as well, but she wanted to go somewhere cold. And we were like, New Zealand looks cold. Illegally, should I become a TNT in New Zealand or Belarus? Awesome idea, right? Unbiased, not biased at all. You're not biased at all. NZ is cool. Should be the same heat. I thought, yeah, because you have the same. You're quite really close to each other, right? I don't know. Just feels like when I look at New Zealand, it has Europe feels as well. We might stop over Australia, because You have to go through Australia to go to New Zealand from the Philippines. Not extreme either way. Pretty fine in terms of weather. It's not too hot. We want to experience the New Zealand cold. Very humid when hot. We're used to humid. Right, when is winter for New Zealand? Also, Australia is not out of the equation yet. So since, you know, you have to go through Australia, go to New Zealand. Late, let's do the 6-7. As mentioned by Kiritos. Kiritos, where is my opera? Opera! Go to Google. Let's go to google.com. Google.com. Look at him. He has raided the me. And I will be watching myself. 6-7. It didn't do any animation. You scammed me, Kirito. You scammed me. And for that, I will take your asuna. I will take your asuna. Self-stream, yes. Well, I got scammed, but thank you for dropping by, though, Kirito. I hope you have wonderful. If your name is from Sao, that's pretty cool. Utter scam, yeah. 6-7, 6-7. I don't know why, for some reason I looked up 6-7 meme history and I still didn't get it. Like, there's no from what I googled before, there is not one single source of where banned. No, okay. We don't, he doesn't need to be banned. I think. Yeah. Not Brave. I'm using Brave. I'm using Opera. We're just old, yeah, we're just old. 6-7 is like a very Gen Alpha meme, right? It's not even a Gen Z meme anymore. It originated from the Alphas. Gen Alpha. It works, I swear. Someone vouched for Kirito, nobody vouched for you. I was scammed. Out of all the memes that came out, the ballerina cappuccino thing, what have you, 6-7 is the most puzzling to me. Maybe I am old. New Zealand is like traveling to the Lord of the Rings. Yo! And I was looking up New Zealand cities, tourist cities. The south side, they say, is beautiful. South side of New Zealand. Wellington, I think, is the capital. Gen Alpha. Prove to us that you are alphas, Gen Alpha. No offense to the Gen Alphas in chat. Gen Alphas, I don't know what generation I am. I was born 2,000 years ago. I don't know where that accent came from. Honestly, Wellington is capital, yeah. Well, right. If I am traveling with a senior person and I am a person who does not like getting tired, what is your recommended place in New Zealand? Gen Ultra. That's me, Gen Ultra. Thank you, Gen Ultra. I'm not Gen A, I'm not Gen Z, I'm Gen U, Gen Ultra. I live in the South Island. Does that mean there's like a slight chance if I go there we might meet? We might go get that ice cream finally? How about Gen Z? Gen Z's cool. What kind of things do you like to do? Walking around, shopping, and eating. Scenery is fine as long as I don't have to hike for the scenery. That's what we'll do. Because I know there are cases in like New Zealand, Australia, where it's like adventurers haven. You go surfing, you go hiking, mountain climbing. We're not good with that. Physically, we're not built for that. I mean, if you do come, I give you my home ground and all that. We could hear now. Yay! We could. You're in the south. And yes, a lot of great walks. My town actually has some great rains. Yeah, I think out of the 4 cities that was mentioned, I think I like the south the most because it's chill. I'll go research some more on what to do in New Zealand. New Zealand. Hey friends, waiting here long. Why did I read that out? I forgot to switch to English, but that's fine. We are Japanese, and see, we can found Care Bears which can eat you. Is that real? Isn't that an Australia thing? Or is it also in New Zealand? Are there real bears in New Zealand? We don't have bears in the Philippines. Do we? I don't think we do. I think we have little bears. We don't have the koala bear. We have small bear-like creatures. North is more stuff, but south is a lot more chill. We like chill. We do not have any bears here. That's good. I'm telling you. My mom is pretty strong. My mom's pretty strong, but she's not about the adventurous life anymore, you know? I have 0 native land mammals. It has to be chill, it has to be safe, and it has to be convenient. I think those are our main considerations. I'm small bear, that's so cute. What kind of small bear are you? Are raccoons bears? Obvious, or are there more in the dog family? Obviously, we have introduced ones, mostly pets, and pets, that's fine. Pets, red panda. They're bears, right? Cause they're pandas. I'm small panda like Carly. That's cute. That's adorable. It's adorable. What was I gonna say? What happened before this? I could look into small fun things to do around city near me and stuff. Yay! Please! Thank you! That would be good. Yes, you are adorable. You're adorable, B. You're so beautiful. See, you're so cute and full of charm. What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. So, last stream that we did this main story quest, we looked into the past of Rerir back when he was still human in Canria. He's now one of the sinners, but I think he became a sinner because he was an assassin. And he was an assassin whose his job was to get rid of people who are under the Crimson Moon. So he's bad, he's evil, and he has a girlfriend named Thalindis. But Thalindis is secretly a Crimson Moon person, so they were like starstruck lovers. Is that what you call them? They weren't meant to be. And we did some puzzle stuff, and I didn't understand what happened after that. But ultimately, Rerir. Oh, after that, I got off stream, and then we peeked into the past life of Nefer. Nefer is the very beautiful girl. If you guys remember Nefer, the character, we looked into the past of Nefer. I did it off stream actually, and it was nice. It was really tragic what happened to her, and I think she's really cool what she did. In the end, spoiler, she avenged the death of her dad. And after that, when Rerir popped up, and then we got out of the past, the space where we were looking into the past, and then we regrouped with our Avenger friends, and now I think we're about to face Rerir. That is my summary. That's how I understood it. Do you guys like museums? We have some pretty good. I like museums. I think my mom will appreciate museums as well. Yeah, we like that. We just don't get to go to museums as much because there aren't a lot of good ones here. But yes, we would love that. I think they're boring, that's also fair. As long as they're like traditional museums, I'm not a huge fan of like modern museums where you have to think really hard about the art and what they mean. No hate though, no hate. Nefer mommy. Yeah, Mika remembers Nefer. There you go. Nefer, she's so beautiful. She is a mommy. I mean, actually, yes, kinda. Pets that out and not on leashes are highly dangerous to our native birds since many of our birds are flightless and burrow and lay eggs on the ground. That's what I like about, countries like Australia and New Zealand. You have like a very... How do I say this? You have good and strict laws for protecting animal life. Because we don't have things like those here. Maybe we do, I'm just not aware of it. And also I live in like the middle of the city. Are you in EN voice? I am using Japanese voice. Remember due to different reasons. What? You remember never due to different reasons? Why? We also have some cool areas based around wildlife. There you go, wildlife. Wildlife protection is very good in your country. Not like zoos, more like reserves and stuff. Maybe we can go to animal places like that as long as there's not a lot of walking. and it's not hot. That's why we want to go there when the weather is cool. And also, I'm sorry, I don't quite understand what you mean by this. Too bad, because what did you mean, RV? What did you mean? Too bad, because Flynn says night balls when he uses burst. I wouldn't know. I rarely use English. Wait, what are you guys talking about? Scarecrows? Scarecrows? What are scarecrows? Are those the human-like figures made of hay that you put in farms to scare away the crows? Or those are the scarecrows, right? Also, yeah, we have some traditional museums, not really huge on modern art either. I like that. I like that. There's also some tourist stuff about Maori people. Maori. Yes, Celphy, you got it right, damn. I'm smart. I know what scarecrows are. There's also a scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, right? Can you elaborate? I might know what you mean, just don't remember just of this. Yes, RV, please elaborate. Rat would love to explain that for you if she knows what you're talking about. Scarecrows as a concept.
でも今は良かったと思っています。あなたたちと一緒にこの仕事を成し遂げられることを。Wait, Karki, I'ma switch to English after this conversation. Lauma. Can I switch right now? No. Lucky, Clarky. I haven't really seen one, but I know what they are. Yeah. I've never seen a scarecrow IRL, I think. Have I? Maybe. Can't remember. It's mommy! Wait. The goods have been delivered and the backup plan is underway. Well, there's a story where some people are frightened of scarecrows. I was asking if some of them are too. There are like monsters in fictional media that are based off of scarecrows, right? Also, yeah, we've got some stuff on Maori history. I really love Maori folklore and mythology. It's really cool. Does that mean there are like places where you can, you know, experience, not really experience, but kind of like a museum maybe? You can look into Maori culture. I don't think I know about this, sorry. Head pets for your rat, you tried, that's fine. Scarecrows are scary. That's why they're called scarecrows. Ooh. But I think the scarecrow in Wizard of Oz is friendly. I think. I really like her design. She's like a great representation of modern Genshin design. Her lines are so smooth, her face is so beautiful. She's not chopped at all, as the kids say it. And she's like, sexy. Especially if they make it. Oh, most museums have a lot of Maori culture based stuff. Oh, okay. Especially if this museum is very general. I see. So, Rat, because you live in one of the touristy places, but you're beautiful too. Beautiful girl. Rat, since you live in one of the places mentioned that are good for tourists, do you see a lot of tourists in your area?
they gonna give me a chance to switch my language?
みんな位置についてくれ。この戦い。全
Not
力
in
で
my
臨もう。
hometown, in the cities near me. Ah, I see, I
準
see.
備はいいかい？
Some in your hometown. Yes. There's not much. I live in a very small town. Yeah, that's what you mentioned. That's what you mentioned before in our conversations. Small town, hope town. It's fine. We are Japanese. Exactly. I am not English. I am Japanese. Japanese.
行きましょう。
Yaki, why you doing that? Do you like Nefer as well? Look at her. Look at her legs. It's so scandalous. Now that I think about it, so much thigh. So much thigh.
虫けらどもの小細工にはそろそろ飽きてきたが、退屈な殺戮がしばらく続きそうだな。
まだ勝負はついてないよ。
お前らなど月を撃ち落とす前の暇つぶしでしかない。
Can I pause? It's loading. Can I pause? Can you pause, please? I need to go to the bathroom. Oh, speaking of selfie thigh is better. I hear. I know. I have the best thighs ever. Can we leave it at that for now? I need to go. Wait, I need to go to the bathroom. Nah. What can I do? Oh, there you go. Oh yeah. Speaking of being Japanese, so my mom and my brother, when they were in Japan, they went to a sumo show, right? And my mom took a video of the whole show, almost the whole show, and they were always screaming "Ganbare!" Let's say the name of the wrestler is Mikan, right? Ganbare, Mikan! Ganbare, Mikan! It was pretty cute and funny. I was gonna say Omae wo, but it's a different word. Omae wa shinderu. Selfie thighs. I don't have thighs. I don't have legs. I am just a top part. What you see is what you. No, just kidding. I have to go to the bathroom. I will be back. Choto mate kudasai, please. Yerby. I'm back. I'm back. Have I unmuted? Yeah. I'm gonna do bad thing. Wait, don't believe her. She's going to commit crimes. How? Do not expose me. Do not expose me. Do not underestimate my time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back. Wash your hands. I don't need to. Then just kidding. What was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so I went up, right? And I'm out of breath, and my dog went into the room as well. So I gave him a piece of cracker. And hopefully he'll be wanting to get out of the room. Did you wash your hands? No. We don't wash hands in this house. We're dirty like that. Just kidding. Just kidding. Did you guys wash your hands after using the bathroom? As you should. Wait, what's happening? Why is Aino? I don't know what's happening, man. Why do I have 5 characters? I don't know how to use them. Yes, handshake and meet up. Why is there so many characters? Let me just try to. We don't have a healer. We don't have a healer. Why is that? Oh, I know it's just a buffer.
夢なき眠りへようこそどけお静かに
読む真実はまるで影そうに強い永遠になる迷える者
結構どけ
欺瞞の叫びよ嘘はいけないね
I don't know how to play Genshin anymore.
制する好きで始まり好きで終わる結構浴びる
月の恩寵があらんこと
Follow Laoma's hymn? Where is Laoma's hymn? What is the T for?
ひどいな さこれも試練か
I'm gonna die. Can I not heal them? We can heal them. Sorry. What happened? Did you wash your hands? No handshake and meet up. What do you mean no handshake and meet up? Why did my camera freeze? It depends on the person. Huh? Handshake and meet up? That's gross. That's lewd. Wait, let me just read it. Lewd, yes. Yes, lewd. We gotta lock in because we're dealing with a sinner. I'm in love with a sinner. Where is this him though? Get away from me. Get away from me. Nar.
お前には俺が見えてるなズルフェルキルお前の予言はいつ現実になる
How party. Yeah, there's no healer in the party. Look at that. Traveler's not a healer, Nefer's not a healer, Lauma's not a healer, Flens is not a healer, Aino is not a healer. Let me just open the door for my dog. I forgot to mute. The dog is out. The dog is out. The dog is knocking again. Nah. Thank you for the Gwenchana.
真実はまるで影読め。
どけ。
Welcome back. I got the dog and me got the dog and me. Inside you there are two dogs. Two dogs. Mikan and Mikmik.
結構を浴びるもの。
掃除のカゴ。やっ。
What did it say? What? I'm so stressed. The dog is still knocking on the door. Please, Bambino. Celphy, guess who got addicted to gambling? Me. At what game? Did you get addicted to gambling in a game? Musume? Is that where you got addicted to? Let me just look it up. Rare fight Genshin. Who's your favorite horse? Super Creek. Super Freak. Let me look that up. Super Creek. Uma Musume. Makibao. I don't play Uma Musume, so I don't really know them. Aside from Gold Ship. Is it Gold Ship? Gold Ship, and there was this horse that I liked, the one that kept losing. Super Creek. She looks familiar. And Makibao. I specifically have her Halloween costume. There's costumes in the game. You're running Gold Ship right now, yo. Good luck. Midori na Uma Musume. Makibao. Oh, she's cute. She's cute. Yeah, Haru. I don't play it. I only see on social media. Gold Ship and Haru. I think when we played what was that game? I played this game with Yuffie and Megan and the gang, and I chose the Haru costume. Haru mod. Echoes of Fate, is it this one? Sorry, I'm just looking up because I missed. There was a text on what you should do if Rerir shows up. Frost Moon Enclave, Columbine, combat strategy. Traveler Never, Loam of Lens, and Aino. Aino is a hydro applicator. Oh, we have to follow the deer. Yes, the doggo is barking. I'm sorry. It's our tiniest baby dog. She's the noisiest one. Follow this deer until you see an outline of Rerir within the mist, where the next part of his sequence will trigger. When Rerir reveals himself to attack, use the Lightkeeper's lantern to illuminate his figure. Then it tell you how to follow it. I got confused because we have a character, Llama, here. When I don't know if I pressed her E and she turns into a deer. So I don't know if I was following that correctly. Why is the dog so loud? When he shows up, we have to press T. There you go.
居場所などありません。お静かに。足元に救われません。
Maybe the baby dog always hungry. He's always hungry.
リニアのとわの安寧をゆっくり完成せねば。
目を閉じて。この程度か。お静かに。地の底へとどけ。
I'm always hungry as well. That is true. Who is dying? Who is dying? We have to feed whoever is dying. She's full!
結構を浴びるのどけ。
掃除の加護真実
無駄なことを。
嘘
目を閉じてこう。地の底へその程度か。
見て
無駄なことを。目を閉じて。
欺瞞の叫びよ
その程度か。
レニック蒼月よ永遠なるいや迷える者だ。
こう随分情熱的ですね。お静かに。結構を浴びる者。亡霊ごときが。
激流に飲まれろ。やめろ。
どけ。無駄なことを。目を閉じて。地の底へ。
Never's mommy voice.
いや。
心を覗かせてもらうよ。
I don't know how they do it. She's supposed to be summoning her own couch. Maybe that's just one of her idol animations. Stop taunting me, bitch.
まずは
How?
目障りな奴らに
She
消え
is
てもらおう。
hot. Llama is hot as well. Why are we left with two characters now?
他のみんなはこいつの外だ。どうやらあんたと私
This is better. The 5 characters were so confusing. No.
た者は生きることを許されない。そう言ったは
ああそうかい。でもね
Is this his second phase?
はついてないよ。
ず。破滅再生。
ラボ聞こえる。
うるさいな。
聞こえなくなった。
Oh, there it is. Her couch. Her couch. I think when you cancel her animation, the couch is just like a thing there in the battlefield. Second phase. Please. No, stop hurting me. Stop hurting me. I'm just a girl. I got healed for some reason.
お前に逃げ場はない。
欺瞞の叫びよ。
死は目と鼻の先が。
心を覗かせてもらうよ。読む。真実はまるで影。
何度も。
Thank you for the shield. Flint's be like, help me, I'm under the water. Is Flint's British?
死は目と鼻の先だ。
無理するんじゃない。読む。油断した。
We're not even denting his health bar.
破滅再生。
欺瞞の叫びよ。真実はまるで影。
お前に逃げ場はない。
嘘はいけないね。読む。
よし、この力が。
さあ、謎を解こう。嘘はいけないね。
何度も。破滅。
心を覗かせてもらうよ。真実はまるで影。嘘はいけないね。
破滅再生。死は目と鼻の先だ。
Wait. Is there anything I need to be doing here? Combat strategy. With only Nefer and Traveler left, your goal is to juggle between damage between the two and bring your near half death again. Stepping away from combat when Nefer's abilities are on cooldown. Oh, we will be auto-revived even if we die. Oh. What do you mean step away when she's on cooldown? What does that mean? What do you mean? I'm never bowing down to you. I'm never bow. Wait, did the article lie to me? Oh, she's not.
真実ありえん。心を覗かせてもらうよ。
何度も何度も
浄化せよ。
血は目と鼻の
Seems like you're on God mode. I am. Because he's like the main villain. And this is like the conclusion to the main story from the last update, I guess. Like we spent the last 3 updates chasing after this bad guy. So he's gonna be like super strong. But we're not gonna die because we are protected by plot armor.
心を覗かせてもらえる。真実はまるで影。読む。真実はまるで影。さあ、謎を解こう。嘘はいけないね。読む。
何度ももしこの力が
浄化せよ。欺瞞の叫びよ。嘘はいけないね。
Check out the chat. I'm kinda locking in, kinda.
破滅再生
We just have to reach a certain point where we got off this HP. I don't know how much. I think 50%. We got a long way to go, man. Absorb Kubaki 3 times 2. 3. Isn't that 3 times already? There we go. Go super never.
Skyの狩人に勝つ方法はただ一つ。彼自身だからコロンビーナには消えてもらう。お前たち二人には最後まで耐え抜いてもらわなくちゃならない。
We were bait. We were used as bait so Colombina could step in. Nefertina. Your eyes are bleeding.
いつまで耐えられるかな。俺の一撃で塵のように消える存在が。
その塵が。 あんたの記憶に滑り込んだのさ。あともう少し耐えろ。
切り札があるなら今のうちに出しておけ。楽しみたかったがもうなすすべもないようだな。
あんたの恐怖が手に取るようにわかる。もっと怒れ。全力を出せ。かつてひざまずいてしまった者への恐怖。 愛する人に二度と会えないのではないかと考えてしまう恐怖。あんたは運命に抗えないよ、レリル。
そうか。ならお前らにもその恐怖を味わってもらう。
何を怖がってるの？ 自分自身と向き合うのが怖いんだ。
She's bleeding, yeah, she's bleeding from the eyes for some reason.
はいつくばって見届けろ。
Whoa. Albedo! The king!
月の狩人の力は計り知れない。唯一の対抗策は錬成陣でその力を盗むことだ。 さらに全ての力をコロンビーナさんに集中させよう。一瞬でも彼に匹敵する力を持てれば
Just do it in their own little world. Yeah, they're the Avengers. The full power of the Nordkite gang is here. I've got Varka, Albedo, Doreen, most of all, Columbina.
炎元素の力を通じてみんなの精神と同調し、君にみんなの資格と能力を。
I know's there. I know's our technical girl.
十分。
まさか黄金レインドットの関係者がいるとはな。
何の話かね。
That's a fight well fought, never. Hello, friendlings. Toaster, hello. Happy Sunday, Toaster. How you doing? Welcome, man. Welcome. Oh my god! A sinner versus an archon. Let's go.
そっちも空爆を盗んだ。
Good. I just finished eating broccoli. Very healthy. In the shower in the dark. What? Are you high? I was about to congratulate you for eating broccoli. Well, I'ma just log in. Did you get answers from eating in the dark? In the shower in the dark? Did you get an answer what a thunderstorm feels like?
するのにはかなりの力が必要なはずだ。
やってるのは私じゃないよ。
Time sleep! You feel great. Oh my god! In the end, he helped the Avengers. Because, you know, in the past, Dan Sleep and Riri used to be friends. Black hole, yes, Army. That was a good cutscene. I love that. I'm sorry for yapping over it. Mommy, are you okay, Mommy?
見えないだけさ。大したことはない。
It's a cinema. Never blind. I hope not. I hope not. Lauma's here to save Nefer. Yeah, we're doing a joke that Nefer here is a mommy. She has like that mommy appeal, you know. But I don't think she's fit to be a mom.
思慮深いネフェルがこんな暴挙に出るとはな。緊急事態だった。
If anything, Lauma is more
こうでもしない
motherly,
と
I would say.
命はなかった
The way
さ。
she cares for
だとしても
people.
確かに賢明な判断だ
Mommy
った。
voice and mommy will.
あれだけのこと
Exactly,
を
that's
成し
what
遂げ
make
た代
her
償が目
mommy.
だけというのは幸運だったのかもしれない。
Nefer is mommy, Lauma is mother.
大儲けと言えよ。
That's a mother right
だろ
there.
だが
I know who my mommy is.
絶対に納得できない。人が
Who is your
大切
mommy
なものを犠牲
then?
にするのを見
Who?
るのは辛い。信仰も力も瞳の
I
光
think they're both mommy like the way, you know, they kind of mature and they care for the traveler. Nefer is specifically a mommy to Yahoda. Two mamas, yeah.
まだ目を開けてはならぬ。数日間はおとなしく休んでおれ。気をつけ
Is
る
there a
べき点は
canonically
よくです
blind character in Genshin?
そなた
Because
は
in Star Rail, there's one, right? The hot pot guy is blind.
皆のおかげで見事勝利を手にする
And
こ
in
とができ
Wuthering
た。
Waves, there's a blind
灘
character
くらい
there
の
as
上空
well.
に垂れ込めてい
I
た
cannot say I'm just too
ぎゅっと
embarrassed. That's fine. Headbands for you.
皆に感
Headbands
謝
for
する
you.
だろう。
You keep that little secret in your heart.
お疲れ
Keep your
様。
mommy safe in your heart. Gold ship is locking in. Let's go. Gold ship is so cute and funny. Especially the real gold ship. Yoda shows up and helps Nefer get home, and you, of course, have Paimon to escort you. Yeah, I saw the clips of Gold Ship. The real Gold Ship. The way that Gold Ship made a bunch of rich people lose their betting money because she wasn't feeling it. She wasn't feeling the game. Everyone betted on her because she's always had a good track record, and then one day she just decides to be goofy. No millions for you. The sight of Nefer navigating the road with her eyes. I didn't get to read that. Absolute. Yeah.
なんでしょう。さっき
Goshi.
デリンがみんなの力をつなげてくれた時、みんなの感覚も共有してたの。ネフェルの目の痛みが私にも残ってるみたい。
She locked in, yeah, congrats! Congrats to you and Goshi, congrats!
傷はないから大丈夫だとは思うけど、一応話しておいた方がいいかと思って。
損傷は見当たらない。大丈夫だ。しかし、
Yes, big future.
クータル自ら言ってくださるとは驚いた。
He has a very big
いろんな
future.
ことが変わって、仲間に自分の気持ちを伝えることも学ばないとって思った
Toaster,
の。
thank you so much for the lurk. Thank you.
嬉しい言葉だ。
Appreciate the lurk and for dropping by. And for telling me about your broccoli in the shower. Thank you for the Quintana. I can't help but break into a smile at the word friends as a warm and fuzzy feeling fills your chest. Colombina, the cold-hearted and godly Colombina, now considers us as her friend. Progress. One by one, your fellow teammates report in to inform me that everything is under control. At Lauma's insistence, you lie down. You fought on the front line against Warrior, and now you need rest. Damn right I do. I was severely underprepared for that fight. What was I expecting? I thought they'd just be yapping and there'd be a few cutscenes, but nah, we had to fight the sinner himself.
目が覚めたか？
Yes, Paimon.
具合はどうだ？痛いところは？ぐっすり眠れたか？大
No
丈夫だ
thanks
よ。
to you.
パイモン、心配しないで。ならよ。
Yapping? Yeah, I just thought they'd be yapping, and I didn't have to do anything.
その間、オイラはベッドの横で見守るしかなくて、ご飯も一人で食べてたんだ。一人でもちゃんと食べてた？おう。でも、お前と一緒に食べる方が断然美味しいぞ。お前が元気じゃないと味がしないし、ぐっすり眠れない。
What was Paimon doing before we came to Teyvat?
ただいま。
Emergency food, yeah. Emergency food is right.
用意してくれたから、目が覚めたらさ、みんな来てるらしいよ。薬も持ってきてくれたけど、その様子じゃ
I
大丈
said
夫
I
そう
was
だな。
gonna lower down the price of the
いけ
Christmas
そうだったら
song.
行こうぜ。
I
あ
did.
まり待たせるのも悪いしな。
Let's make that 3,000. Where's what? 3,000. 3,000. There you go. There you go. Go to the flagship. Are we not in the flagship yet? I'm lost in this game. Oh no, I forgot I'm spending the points. Oh, you were doing Genshin now. Maybe next stream, maybe. Or at the end of the stream, maybe.
待ってたぞ。あんたらが来なかったら祝勝会は延期しようって言ってたところなんだ。
具合はどう？
もう平気。心配しないで。
ならよかった。気になるところがあったら僕が見るからすぐ。
うん。他にも必要なものがあったら教えて。
ネフェルは来てないのか？ネフェルの目はどう？
ネフェルさんはあそこ。話しかけに行ったら？
Did you make that Genshin? No, I got it from TikTok. I got it from TikTok. Then I made it a sound routine. It's cute, isn't it? Quintana. Yaki thought I did the voice for that, but I didn't. Maybe it kinda sounds like me. It's cute. I know, right? That's why I took it. Quintana.
旅人パイモ具合は
Neferu.
どうだい
Much better thanks to a good rest. You're looking well. You're no longer bleeding, and your eyes seem to look
さす
fine.
がは蒼月のこの
You did it. It sounds like you.
なかなかの腕前だ
Yeah, I
2、
didn't.
3日で
It
目
kinda
が
sounds
開
like
けられる
me,
ようにな
right?
でも
I thought you did. Oh my god. I made the chorizo. That's me. The chorizo.
はいはい
Gwenchana, I didn't.
フォルさんすまないが手を貸してくれ
It's similar to your voice, Tenchu.
ちょっと待ってくれ
I will consider that as a compliment, Gwenchana. I forgot. Is it Chikawa? It's a TikTok video of Chikawa dancing, and it was singing Gwenchana. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, at least the chorizo. But maybe I should spread a false rumor that it was me, right? Maybe I should post something. I am the original Gwenchana. I am the original Gwenchana. Let me look for the original TikTok. Gwenchana. Chikawa. Claim DMCA. Yeah, I'm gonna hunt down people who use that sound bit and tell them it was me. I am the original Gwenchana. It's not Chikawa, it's just a hamster or something. Let me show my screen. Show my browser. Browser Opera. I hope it's not really loud. It's too soft. Where's the volume? There it is. The original Guantana. It has 2.2 million likes. There you go. I am the original Guantana. It was good and it was funny because the hamster is in a mental institution and she's still dancing Guantana. Oh. Is any of my friends streaming? I will just exit out of Twitch. Exit out of Twitch. What's on your mind? Ikemen voice. What's Ikemen voice? What's Ikemen voice? Is that a meme or just like general Ikemen voice? My beautiful RV and Tenchu. You look so radiant today. Would you like to go for a cup of coffee? Coffee? I fumbled. What is on your mind?
月の狩人は蛇に似てると思って
More like a wolf in my
そうか
mind.
い毒蛇は脅威を感じたら毒をまき散らすだろ
Mika, why you laughing?
憎しみに駆られ
What's funny?
復讐に走る人
Why you
は
laughing?
毒蛇に似てると
Coffee?
父がよく言ってた
He or me? Anyone seeks revenge out of hatred. I guess he didn't like seeing people go down the path of
そう
vengeance.
かもねあんたは寛容も知恵の一つだと思うかい
I'm the Gwenchana lie. the
憎しみだって
Are you
人間
talking
の
about the
真っ当な
good-looking
感情さ
doctors who entered the
それ
room
さえ
before
許されなかった
Gwenchana?
ら生きる支えを失った者はどうやって生きろと言うんだい
Ikemen.
私のことを心配してくれてるならその必要はないよ
Coffee, tea,
過
or
去に未
me?
練なんかないただ父を詐欺師だと言ったのは間違いだったかもね
ちょっと待ってくだ
常
さ
連員に
い。
見捨てられ人に陥れられるようなバカなんだからいっそ父
So she's from Sumeria, right? And her dad used to be a tribe leader or something, but it was a very small tribe and they were running out of water. And the dad asked for the academy for help, but the academy ignored him. So when he took water from a nearby tribe, the nearby tribe killed him. So she went to the academy because she was smart, and then she left the academy to avenge her dad. That's a TLDR of it. Oh, Yaki was here too. Yaki is always here. Yaki, did you ever finish the game that you were streaming? Did you finish it? I didn't get to see. Sadly, I've never heard the Ibis King's voice. Ibis? What's he actually like? Oh yeah, she has inside of her the wolf. No, she has you know how Sino has a Sumeru god inside of him? She has one as well. That's why she's powerful now. No, not done yet. Finish the map. That's good. That's good. Get all the maids. You know, Yaki, if you can't get a maid outfit, I can send you a maid outfit PNG. Would you like that? Would you like that, question mark? Huh? I joined like this Discord server where they post so many free VTuber stuff. I really love it. Get all the maids, yeah. What was the game? Wait, what were you playing earlier? What were you playing? It's a maid something game. Maid of Salvation, that is the title of the game. Maid of Salvation. It looked cute. It looked cute. Sounds like it was nice enough to you. You definitely sound like father and daughter. I am parched. Guys, drink some water. It's an anime game? Yeah, an anime game. Thank you, Arby, for the hydrate. Chorizo! Chorizo, that is me. Thank you for the bits. Hydrate, I have hydrated. Thank you. My throat is moisturized. Sorry if I do say silly things sometimes. But thank you for the chorizo. That was 50 bits, right? Thank you, Anonymous. Chorizo! I have to the liar's soul is the most worthless thing in the world. What do you think? I'd have to disagree because sometimes people are forced to lie in order to survive, right? Sometimes, I think. Chorizo! Chorizo! That just reminds me. Are you guys celebrating Christmas? Is it a thing in your culture to have like a grand Christmas feast? Question mark. If so, what are you planning to have for Christmas? Most kinky sound.
Mr. Call. I'm calling you back to let you know that I love you and I miss you. I really want you to call me back. And I'm sorry I missed your phone call, and that I know you're done.
Wow, you have a new badge!
Can you call me
Congrats
back?
and thank you! How much
I love you, and I miss you.
I love you, and I miss you, and thank you for being here, better one. Thank you, Anonymous, for 100 bits. Ooh, what you say? Ooh, what you only well, cause you did. Ooh, what you say? Sorry for the random song. 1K bits, man. Hello, better five. How you doing? How are you and your waifu doing? You know, ever since we raided your waifu, your streamer waifu, I've been lurking on her stream almost every night. W bits, thank you for the bits. Anonymous, whoever you are, I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna beg you a big fat smooch, consensually. If you don't like it, that's fine, we can do a hug. Thank you for the bits. I'm on lunch break and she's resting. Oh, lunch break, what you having? What are you having? Toaster went in here earlier. They had broccoli. That was interesting and healthy. Smooch and hugs, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the bits, Anonymous, and I love you, and I miss you. And the chorizo. Can I still do the chorizo voice? I feel like my voice has changed over the years. Chorizo! Bacon, mac, cheese, and Pepsi. Sounds like a girl dinner, boy dinner. Chorizo! Yummy. Chorizo! There you go. Bacon, mac. Bacon like a burger? Mac? Chorizo! Oh, mac and cheese. That has bacon on it. Pepsi base. I love Pepsi. You know what, guys? I keep telling people, I used to tell people that I like Pepsi more than Coke because for me it's sweeter and a bit lighter, you know, because Coke can be really strong. And then some friends who are not from the Philippines told me that Dr. Pepper was better than Pepsi. So I tried Dr. Pepper once. It's not really available here. You can get it from like stores that sell imported stuff. You know, I tried Dr. Pepper and it is lighter than Pepsi, but I still like Pepsi more. But then my brother came home one day with AMW cream root beer and it was life-changing. I love that shit. But it's not a common thing here though. AMW cream root beer. I love that. But yeah, Pepsi. I love Pepsi. Better 5. Wait. Better 5. Thank you. Chorizo, mac and cheese. Yum. Well, I only 40 minutes to enjoy lunch break. Thank you for spending your lunch break with me, and I hope your baby girl, oh, your waifu is resting well. Pepsi is good, not too much. Pepsi is so much better than both. I know, right? Root beer, damn, let's go. Yeah, and I think the nice thing about root beer is that it doesn't have caffeine, right? Am I right? Does root beer have caffeine? I'm not like health conscious to not be wanting caffeine. It's just that when I drink caffeine at night, I have a hard time sleeping. Have caffeine. Does root beer have caffeine? It has 0 mg of caffeine. Let's go. NW is pretty peak. Bestie, hello Bestie, yes! I discovered this drink called ANW Cream, root beer cream specifically, and it was really nice. My brother bought it home from a sale in one of those supermarkets that sell imported stuff. ANW is not really a regular thing here. Yay, Pepsi, I love Pepsi. Pepsi Max and regular Pepsi. When choosing root beer versus cola, I rather go with root beer. Because root beer is milder, I would say. Milder. Yes, you're right. Root beer and cream soda does not have caffeine. However, Bark root beer. Oh, that Bark is a brand of root beer, right? Have I had it? Maybe I have. I think I've heard of it. I get Mug root beer. Mug is sold here. Mug root beer. I see that more often than Bark and what do you call this? A&W. Once upon a time we had an A&W restaurant here, but I guess is it called a fast food chain? A&W. I had Big Bear outside, but it closed down. There was only one branch, I think, or maybe a few. I don't know. And it closed shop. A&W root beer. Fast food chain. Does it still exist? Well, bestie. Drink the root beer that can be purchased in Dali. My brother loves Dali. Dali is like a convenience store place here, and they have like cheaper alternatives to popular brands, and some of them are pretty good. There's not many of them by me, but it still exists. Ooh, A&W. It is Celphy. Yes. Wish we had that. Wait, there's no Dali near you, Mikan? everything is cheaper in Dali, and the cheaper alternatives are not that bad. It's just funny though, sometimes they have brands that are like almost exact copycats of popular brands, but I guess the popular brands can't come after them because it's not like an exact copy. Like for Sting energy drink, they have Python. I saw that they have a copycat of Nutella as well. You got vodka from Dali, pretty cheap. Ooh, was it still good? Was it still good? You can. Everything is cheap and it's good. Yeah. And my brother keeps bringing home Dali stuff, right? I didn't know they had frozen meat as well. Dali has frozen meat and seafood. Everything is in Dali. Okay, until my final 3 races of my Uma career. Yay! I hope you keep winning, Rat. I hope you keep winning. I've been lurking for a bit, but I'll be dancing. No worries, take your time, ma. It is always nice of you to hang out, you know? You can just type whatever emotes in chat. Probably like Tesco, they buy from branded factories without the label and rename it to... My mind is blown. Is that a thing? I didn't know that was a thing. They buy from branded factories without the label and rename it to some... Because it's so similar. Maybe. Is that legal? Maybe it is. They just rebranded. Instead of cheaper. Whatever their strategy is working. Cause I was kinda bad. I was like, I don't want that. It's just a knockoff. But when I tried it, bro, it's almost like the same thing. My brother gave me gummy candies that was only 5 pesos, and I was like, ew, what does this taste like? And when I ate it, oh, this is good. From Dali, gummy candies from Dali. Everything is in Dali, but sometimes it's out of stock because people are now getting there instead of other stores. I want to look more into Dali. What is their strategy? What is their strategy? As you know, an MBA student. Wow, I sound so professional. If you guys remember, I did my MBA comprehensive exam like couple of months ago, back in October, and the whole time I was studying about the case study was about Zalora. You guys know Zalora? It's like Shein, but more high fashion or something like that. Zalora. I got to learn about the history of Zalora, their strategy about their product, and how they became so successful. And they became really successful because they were they were selling everything for cheap, but because of that, they had a really big user base now, but they haven't broken even at that time. That means they were not getting profits even though they had so many buyers. So I'm wondering if Dali is doing the same. The name makes it pricey. Exactly. Sometimes you're just buying the name more than the product. Haven't tried the knockoffs, but I bought mushroom chicharon. Ooh. So Mikan, you do have a Dali nearby. You do have a Dali nearby. I wanna get donuts. Bestie, why did you have to remind me of donuts? Go get donuts. You have a donut place nearby, right? If I remember correctly. A bakery of some sort in your area. Donuts in your area. Haven't heard of them for a long time. What have you not heard of, Tenchu? Zalora? Zalora! Do you buy stuff from Zalora? It's 4 AM where the... Oh my god, I forgot about the time difference. I'm sorry. Is there no 24-hour convenience store near you that sells pastries? Oh, Zalora, yeah. Is it still a big thing in there? Because it's pretty popular in Southeast Asia, right? In here, it's still pretty popular. My mom still shops in Zalora. A bit far, I need to ride a jeep and a trike, and it's near my cousin's Cohen God. Oh, so when it's a coincidental basis. Coincidental? When it's convenient, you go there. It's pretty far. 2 rides. They call me bakery the way I rat. Continue. Finish your sentence. Finish that chat. Why are you called a bakery, huh? Do you got the buns and the cake? Though I could walk there like 5... No, Mika, no. In this heat? No. You know I can't drive, right? Ah, so it's driving distance, not walking distance. I'm actually flat as a board. I'm not a bakery. You're a bakery because you are the baking board where they flatten the dough. Is that it? Is that the joke? No, I'm flat. No. Is that for real? I'm pretty flat as well. I'm pretty flat as well. Wait, what happened to our story? Yoroshiku na. Flat is justice. Flat is justice. Wait, 4 a.m. McDonald's still open? Some stores here, some McDonald's here, Tenchu, are open 24/7. Especially the ones, because we have a lot of call centers, right? Especially the one in business districts where there are a lot of call centers. We have 24/7 fast foods in general. KFC, McDonald's, Jollibee, Chowking. But we also have a lot of convenience stores. 7-Eleven. Mini Stop has rebranded to Uncle John's, I think. Family Mart. They have pastries near the cashier. There is a convenience store on the other side of town. It's snowing out. It's snowing! Also, they don't sell donuts. The bakery my friend owns doesn't open until 7:30. Are you bestie? Are you gonna wait? Are you gonna wait for 3 hours and a half to get that donut? What's your favorite flavor, bestie? I think we talked about that before, but I forgot. My favorite donut is Krispy Kreme regular glazed donuts. Clarky, are you gonna continue to the next Aki or not? Maybe not, because I am ending stream in an hour. But I wanna see it, because it's focused on the rain, right, Clarky? Have you played it? Have you played it? Is it good? I tried Uncle John's fried chicken last week. The chicken's pretty good. Yeah, Mikan. So if memory serves me well, I used to love Mini Stop chicken, and it's so sulit. It's like so affordable for like less than 100. Before, you could get 1-piece chicken with rice, and their chicken pieces are usually so juicy and so big. Some people call it oily, but I don't mind. I like oily chicken. I can hear the Filipina Sharky B. Sharky B, thank you for the first time chat. Welcome. Yes, we are talking about Uncle John's chicken. And yes, I am Filipina. The Filipina is in me. I don't want to spoil, so I won't say anything. Sorry. No worries, Clarky. I appreciate that you don't want to spoil me. Wait, what happened to my... Is it... Listen to what everyone is talking about. I guess we're not done yet. Not done yet. What's everyone talking about? I guess since Clarky doesn't want to say, there's like a major plot twist or something, or a big reveal. My Pinoy senses are stronger, and you are right. Your Filipino radar is so right. I am Filipino. Do your evil laugh.
Sharky just followed.
Sharky, thank you so much for the follow. Maraming salamat. Salamat. Mabawi-bawi. Mabawi-bawi. However, I do my streams mostly in English. Because when I started streaming, I made friends from other places, so the streams are mostly English. But yoroshiku, welcome, irashaimase. Is there a Filipino word for welcome? Welcome in. I got nothing better to do, so maybe I'll wait. Oh, well, it is snowing out. I don't know if I want to walk that far. It depends on the place donut-wise. I like the Valentine's donuts that Dunkin' does when they are cookie dough or brownie batter. Dunkin'. I can only spell English words and that's all. And I'm Cebuano. I see, Cebuano, Bisaya. Come on, Bisaya. I used to know how to speak Bisaya. I don't know anymore because I was so small when I lived there. Not in Cebu, but you know, in Cagayan de Oro. Final race time. Yo, let's go. Yakuso, Japari Parko. What is Japari Parko? Mika, what is that? Sewano, Ataya, Sabuang, oy. Ay, hilom ara, oy. Wait, what is Ataya mean? I know buang. What is Ataya and hilom? Bruh! Yo, tabibito. Bahaba sinay, bata ari. So small back then? You mean like 15 minutes ago? How dare you? How dare you? Bestie, in chat. I went out to touch grass last Friday. I went to my mom's work, and then while she was working slash partying, I was in the mall. I was walking around looking for glasses, and I was looking at the females. It sounded so bad. I was looking at women. Women strolling around the mall, and a lot of them were smaller than me. And I'm 5'3", and if they're smaller than me, that means they're barely 5. That means I'm tall. Tall. I didn't have to get so defensive, I'm just saying. I'm not that small. I'm 5'3". Sharky, if you're Pinoy, you would know, right? That I'm tall for a Filipino woman. Right? Next man, Evo. Welcome. I love women. Women are so based. Women are so good. God is a woman. Twin, yep, very. See? I felt like Taylor Swift walking around. Everyone was smaller than me. You're the same height as my 21-year-old brother. See, not that small. I'm taller than all my tita and teachers. I'm taller than your tita and teachers. Why are you taller than them? Did you come from a tall family? Or are Filipino women just really small? Actually, you might be taller than him. Well, he does have a medical condition. Ah, I see. However, you, bestie, you're like 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", right? Around that range? My mom is barely 5 feet, see? So I felt like a bit of... I felt like a... I didn't feel like a model. I felt like a big woman when I went out. I felt like a big woman towering over small girls. They are very cute. They're very pocket-sized. I'm kind of short, but I should go there and be a tourist attraction for height. 5'7"? Didn't you say you were 5'8" before? I wonder why PH uses feet inches instead of cm. I don't know either. Sometimes in hospitals they use cm, but like when you're talking casually with friends, they usually, oh, that guy is so tall, he's 6 feet, he's 5'10", 5'11". And then when we talk about roads, distance, we use kilometers. I don't know why we do that. I don't think I am quite 5'8". So if you're like 5'7", you're probably taller than average Filipinos, maybe. Gold ship sweep, let's go! Gold ship. What do you get for the wins, Rat? What do you get in-game? What are the in-game rewards for winning your career? My state ID says 5'6", but that was when I was 16. And you keep growing. Men keep growing until they're like early 20s, right? Better 5. That was a head pat from me, thank you. Thank you for the head pat. Yeah, we commonly use feet in conversation. Some hospitals measure you in cm. Yeah. So when I watch American shows and they use miles, I don't understand it. And in
confidence.
No confidence. How you doing? Thank you for the confidence. I have paperwork healthy issues to CM. Yeah, for medical documents, they use CM, maybe to be more accurate. And I think, am I correct, Maxman? And you use kilograms as well, kilograms and CM. Then in normal conversations outside, we use pounds and the feet. Gwenjana. Sharky, thank you for the Gwenjana. Men are kinda done by 21, but it depends on the person. Some people just stop growing at 18 or something, maybe. I get carrots. My god! Who did that? Thank you for the 50 bits. That kinda scared me. Chicken by grams. Yeah. Pounds when talking about we use pounds when talking about people's weights, but when we go to the grocery, we measure stuff with kilograms, right? I don't know, it's crazy. Like when I talk with my girlfriends, and for example, we're talking about, hey, I want to lose weight. I kind of want to lose weight, like 10 pounds or something. Hi Kitty, how are you? I am good, Dominic. Right, you get more carrots for more pulls. Now I can use gold ship to make other horses better. So your gold ship is your ticket to making your other horses stronger. That's good. Do you get gold ship for free? Does everyone get a gold ship for free in the game? Thank you again, Anonymous, for the biggies. You get horse shit for free. That is some horse shit. That is some bullshit. Oh, you have to pull for her. Is there any starter horses you can get in the game? Listen to what everyone is talking about. It's not very rare, only a 2-star. There are a few starters.
Yeah, Sanguma Habe-sama.
I imagine there are a few starters just like here in Genshin. You get a bunch of 4 stars for free at the beginning just to get you started. And surprising that gold ship isn't there. Maybe that's why she's so popular. IDR. What is IDR? I don't remember. I don't remember what the starters are. I think one of the perks of being on a JP dub is this voice. It's so amusing. Am I ever gonna play Uma Musume? I don't think so. But I do like it. I wanna rewatch the anime actually. And also they won! Did Uma Musume won? Did Uma Musume win the game awards? Or something? I know Wuthering Waves was like player's choice. Player's choice. Gacha of the year, there you go. Mama never. Are we going back for the mommy? Best mobile game. I think that's deserved. That's deserved, right? Like if we're talking about mobile-friendly games that are like super engaging and addictive, Uma Musume should win this year. Then WoW won players' choice, players' vote, something like that. You got 5 guaranteed SSR pulls because they won? Amazing. I hope you get good ones. 5 guaranteed, yo. I wish Genshin was that generous. At best, they're gonna give us 10 pulls maybe, and that's not even guaranteed. American peeps said WoW should not win. No. WoW is a great game. WoW is a great game, but I think Uma versus WoW in terms of mobile friendliness, like focusing on the mobile genre, Uma Musume should win. I don't play Uma Musume, but deserve, not gonna lie. True, Clarky, true. Is that one game I don't play, but I really support, because I hear so many good things about it. And their fandom is so wholesome, and the memes are so funny, and everyone's so creative, and I really like the fact that all the horses are based on real life racing horses. Game awards were so made as per usual. Jeff blew the whole budget on getting Miss Piggy to make advances towards him. Why was Miss Piggy there? I love it when E33 won. Okay, I heard about that Better 5 as well. They won like 9 awards, 11 awards, something like that. Like every category they were nominated in, they won except for the category where WoW won. They won everything. And it's been like a hot debate, maybe, if they deserved all of it. A lot of people were saying they deserved it, but some were like, no, you should give others a chance or something like that. Muppets have a collaboration with them. They are there every year for the past few years. Wait, Muppets has a collaboration with who? The Game Awards? Tenchi, what is the new record? The new record for what? Hope it goes on GOTY 50% sale. E33 Clear Obscure. What did E33 do for all the awards they got? So Wuthering Waves they got. I think they got rewards as well. Uma Musume gives you 5 guaranteed SSR pulls. What did E33 do for that? Speaking of free games, the Harry Potter game became free on Epic and I got it. Are we gonna stream it? Maybe. What is 50% on sale? How much was it originally? So if it's like 3,000 pesos and it becomes 1,500 pesos for me, that's still expensive. Because she was the final announcement being what is the final announcement? Was it the Mega Man? TVH, the game they mentioned versus WoW. Oh, Dispatch, right? They wanted Dispatch to win. I don't even know what Dispatch is. Maybe heard of it, but I don't know what it is about at all. Well, 1,800 on Steam. That's expensive. I think the most expensive game I bought was Mortuary Assistant at 600, maybe, or 400. Concord 2? That's what they wanted to win instead of, excuse me, sorry for the burp. Best part of the game was Mega Man game announcement because OMG, do people still get harassed for playing the Hogwarts game? I don't know how big the harassment goes. This match makes me wait, Mega Man was the best announcement. So what was the last announcement and why was it asked? And also, what was I gonna ask? Oh yeah, the Hogwarts game. I just saw one single post saying that my mutual got the Hogwarts game for free, and I know that she's low key. What do you call that? Homophobic? There you go. Just one tweet. I don't know how many other tweets are like that. Because there were news before that some VTubers got really a lot of hate for playing it, right? I mean, they announced Highguard as the last game announcement and people didn't like it. Mikan, why did they not like Highguard? Why? Concord 2.0 game. So you guys were answering me. The last announcement is Concord 2.0 Highguard. What? Dispatch is cool. Is Dispatch the one with like famous voice actors? Is that it? People already calls it Concord 2. Highguard is Concord 2. I'm so confused. Is that it? Highguard is Concord 2, the last one. There you go. I hear. I think I saw a clip of Doki Bird being very excited. She thought it was gonna be a Titanfall, but is that it? It turned out to be Highguard, and that's why it's a bummer. Alright peeps, I gotta head back to work even though it's -5. Better 5, -5. Thank you so much for dropping by during your lunch break. I appreciate you. Have a good rest of your work day, and I hope it's not too cold for you. Remember to I'm sure you're wearing warm clothes right now, but I hope you keep warm and safe. And I hope... Wait, you have a work on Sunday? It was really dumb drama, IIRC. Not my like, but hating WoW is not good, bro. WoW is better for that game. What's happening? The last... I don't care for WoW personally. Anya. Wait, so players' choice, the voting category, they wanted Dispatch to win. That's why they don't want WoW in there. Sonic Rumble got dropped for best mobile. Oh, I saw that as well when they first announced the nominees before. Oh, my sweet. Is there specific awards focus on just mobile games or not? Is it too niche to have a mobile games award show specific? I guess not. I think my stance is that WoWa is a great game in and of itself, but it's not very mobile friendly. I have no say in the other games. Don't know what they're about. Dispatch and E33. I heard they're great, but I haven't played them. So it's good, but WoWa is the bigger. Yeah, exactly. So you know, if a game wins by popularity vote and your favorite game didn't win, it doesn't mean that the game that won the vote is a better game. It just means there are more fans of it. That's my take. Please don't hit me. Oh my god. It's just a popularity thing. Doesn't mean they're the best. Well, it seems cool, but I think people generally know a gacha. So they were attacking gacha. Oh, I think there's still a stereotype that gachas are just money grabs, and it can be true, but there's a lot of factors that go into gacha games as well. Not just the waifus and the husbandos. I think it could happen, but like Genshin Impact might just sweep the entire thing. There's a reason why Hoyoverse, who started this gacha thing, got so many investors, is because they were really committed to putting out quality. So, you know, I mean, it's their choice, and Dispatch was fresh in people. What is that called? Recency bias or something? Attacking gacha. Don't attack the gacha, guys. I mean, even hardcore players. Look at Rat. Rat likes difficult and challenging games, but they're still enjoying Uma Musume. I mean, it's in the game. Gacha means got your money. True. To be clear, I agree with you, but knowing that haters are in the what? I mean everything. I mean there's haters in everything. Everything's got haters, yeah. There's haters in Silk Song fans, haters in E33 fans. There's haters everywhere, yeah. Everyone's got haters, and then there are people. Actually, they might be 2 in 1. If you're so passionate about the game that you love, that you want to defend it, and you feel like it would win, it would turn you into a hater as well because you think nothing else deserves the award. So, you know, and I don't really know what their criteria is. Like the streamer awards, what was up with that? The gamer awards, I see a lot of hate for that. Not really hate, but you know, some well, how do you call it? Some people questioning about the nominees and the content and the winners. I'm surprised I got you one because like half the votes are from judges. Really? That's surprising. I wanted Silk Song to win, but I also wanted something cool to win TBA. See, Rat is just being fair. I got haters. I am the biggest one for real. You're the hater king. The king of pettiness and the king of hatred. That's what you are. Player's choice is all on the player, not the judges. Oh, so judges didn't get to vote. See? The Divinity intro. Normal categories are like 20% players, 80% critics. Oh yes, because you still get to vote on other categories. All the players' voice award. I'm all that and more. You're my bestie. You're also the Lord of Hatred and the King of Pettiness. That is you. That is you. I thought player's voice meant voice act. Maxman, no. Understandable though, understandable. Even if players don't like the games, the critics are heard more. I don't really know what's happening with the critics. I just know that IGN is supposed to be an authority in game reviewing games, right? everyone who puts scores on IGN is supposed to be a critic, right? I just know that they scored Where Winds Meet really low, and that's not very good of them. That's not very fair of them. No, but there is a category for VA. Yeah! Maxman, that's so funny, but also kinda cute. Player's voice, Katsu Senpai. Player's voice comes down to who has a bigger fan base. It's nothing special, so nothing to worry about. Yeah, that's just me. I do think for the end time, WoW is a great game. But just because they won doesn't mean they're really the best out of all the nominees. God's weakest stomach. Stomach. I accidentally got spicy food earlier. Why was it accidental? Didn't know that what you were about to eat had spicy chili on it. I was actually hoping for the Ghost of Yote rap for that because I like the VA and I think they did the Ghost of Yote. IGN got skilled issued by a boss. What does that mean? Where Winsmith should have been at the top. Where Winsmith didn't make it. Where Winsmith didn't make it. It was rigged. Everything is rigged. Who knows? Who knows? Even the Oscars, even the Grammys, they have some rigatoni things happening in there, right? So who knows what's happening behind the scenes of those award shows? IGN got skilled issued by a boss when play. So that's why they rated it low, because the IGN reviewer got skill issue. They lost to the mouse game. That's the thing with Player's Choice. Free games get a mess. See, and also Wuthering Waves is free. I saw this tweet earlier. Wuthering Waves is free, and sometimes people forget that 60% of the entire population is Asian. I don't know if that really was a factor in there, but it being free means more. It was accessible to so many people. So naturally, it would have a lot more free players. Maybe they should divide it. Player's choice for free games, player's choice for non-free games. I don't know, maybe. They couldn't parry skill issue. Thank you for the question. Where Winds Meet kinda released too late. Yeah, they didn't make it. Maybe next year. Where Winds Meet fans like me, let us hold hands and wish that the game survives and actually makes it to awards next year. I'm not gonna root for it to win, but I do hope it gets recognized and that it survives so that I can continue playing. That's it. It's free to some people. Katsu, Wawa? I bought the wrong chicken. Are you talking about Wawa, Katsu? It's free for some people. I bought the wrong chicken. What? Sandwich on the I didn't have anything else to eat, so I accepted my fate. Did you order just now? Because you're craving for donuts earlier, right? Free game has more fan base, I'm shocked. Exactly, Tenchu. A free game has more votes because it's free and I have to pay for my favorite game. I think it's because it's a Chinese game. Seeing people probably spam the votes and they got 1.5 billion people. Exactly, maybe Chinese pride, right? If I'm a Filipino, right? If a Filipino game was nominated in there, regardless of how I feel about the other games, I would vote for the Filipino game. Just so I can see some Filipino representation in there. I think it's because it's... Yeah. I mean, that would be messy. What the VH? I do wish there was at least runner-ups for player choice. Yeah. It was kind of unfair that WoW is free. I think. Not really fair. I don't know the term for it, but... You know... It's a more accessible game. Ordered 6 hours ago. Chicken sandwich. Your tummy hurt because you ordered chicken sandwich 6 hours ago that you didn't know was spicy. Rip. Yeah, Filipino represent. Yeah. National pride. So exactly. Or even if it was just Southeast Asian. It was like a very Southeast Asian culturally representing game. I would vote that over the others. That's a bias for you. I mean, seeing NZ rep is cool, but if I didn't like the game, I wouldn't pick it. Yeah, that's very That's your code of honor. You're very, what do you call it, fair. You're very fair. Feel like Hollow Knight might have won if not WoW. Player count was crazy. Wait, Hollow Knight is made by an Australian developer, right? I just remembered. Is it? Or was it Cult of the Lamb? I forgot. I'd have to like it most, to be honest. Yeah, that is fair. Yeah, if it was a Filipino, I would vote for the Filipino game. Just, you know, to give my Filipino peeps some pride. Because in here we have a lot of talented people, right? But the government, they don't have any support to develop their talents further, so they go and work for multinational companies. But we don't have really good, you know how in some countries they help fund developers if they see that you have potential. In here we don't have that. Australia, there you go, Aussie pride. Other countries taking our talent. Yeah, we have a lot of talented artists, but we don't have the support. I probably wouldn't vote that Upin Ipin game even though it's from my country. It was bad. Fair, that's fair though. I mean, if the game was Filipino but it was very shitty, I would not advocate for it because it would not be a good representation of my country. There you go, there's a caveat. If it's a shitty game, even if it's Filipino, I would not vote for it because I wouldn't want people to think that our games are shitty. Exactly, if we don't have a gaming industry, we can create awesome game. There's some good game concepts in itch.io for Filipino games. But they don't, I don't know, they don't have the support. They don't get funding, they don't get marketing help or whatever. Cult of the Lamb was made by a team. Team? So between people, Australia being, I see. Australia. I think the only popular Filipino game that I've heard of recently is Until Then. Until Then. And it's like a visual novel. And I think it was really well made. Because it made you want to be Filipino. Countries. I see. Is there any popular game developed by from a New Zealander? I'm a little overstimulated. No, it's okay. Take a break. Take a break. You're done with your Uma career runs, right? Take a break. Step back. Look away from the screen. Clarky, I guess I will not be moving on to the next Arc Conquest because it's already 5:30 and I'm getting hungry. I hope the conversation was not too heated for you guys. Was it not? I think I have really mild takes. I have really mild takes. I'm not really the best. I'm not really the best judge when it comes to games. I just know that bigger award shows, they have a lot of rigging in there. Path of Exile is from New Zealand. Ooh. In our country, into politics, we're advocates of our games and so they can support our gaming community. So yeah, that's what I heard. It's really sad. That's why we have so much talent, right? That's why we end up, you know, some of us end up being nurses abroad. Because that's where our talents are more supported or something. No rage baiting here. Yes, no rage baiting. No more fighting for your game because in the end, whoever won, there's a chance they were rigged, no matter how good your favorite game is. Could have been rigged, you know. Everything is rigged. Thank you for that backslash. Thank you. No, Wuwa deserved it. Wuwa best game. I'm just kidding. I can't rage bait. What am I even here for? If I were a rage baiter, I would say fuck your games, guys. Wuwa deserves all the awards. Because Wuwa is the only game I've ever played. Just kidding, just kidding.
水底に静かに沈んでいった一人と
I think deep down we need to remember we're comparing art here, very different art forms, and that's the thing. I was also wondering why there should be more categories, because sometimes they be nominating different genres against each other. Sometimes Boa is number one. Just kidding. Oh, it's number one. Rage bait. Yeah, there are different forms and expressions of art. They say Dispatch should have won because it has great voice acting and great animation and story. They say Woa should have won because it's a one of a kind. Is it one of a kind? Is it one of a kind? The graphics are excellent. Graphics are exceptional for a gacha game. They say E33 should have won because it's so creative and artistic. So yeah, they all have different strengths. While art has value, and even if some was a little controversial, we're all gamers here, and that's pretty cool. Exactly. Sometimes people just get too passionate. I remember this little thing with my boss. When I used to work, I had a boss. I had an agenda. Everyone has agendas in meetings, right? There's something you want to advocate or you want to have your plan approved. And my boss really wanted to have his plan approved. And when our clients didn't approve it, he was still mad after the meeting. And I was like, boss, don't be angry, it's fine. And my boss was like, I'm not angry, I'm just passionate. That really made me laugh deep inside. Of course, I can't laugh in front of my boss. Guess what, Rat? What? Dispatch is too different versus Woa, so it's really a different category though, just saying. Let's just get over it, RV. It's over and done. Woa won. Nothing we can do about that. Maybe for 2026 we should vote so that our favorite game wins, or maybe have your game win in their rightful categories. Do not count on the popularity vote. Silk Song should have won because it's so smooth and very heart-wrenching. You can see Rat's favorite game, Silk Song, and I heard so many praises about Silk Song as well. It's such a big W that the developers released it cheaper than other games. Silk Song would have won if not for the CN voters. Should we ban the CN voters? Because there's so many of them. That's kind of unfair as well, is it not? Yeah, 1.5 billion in here. Yeah, Rat! You finally got it! Please DM me the reference, Rat. Thank you. Please DM me the reference, and please DM me as well if you want an egg, a Doro, or a Fumo. Where's the sample? There you go. Please tell me if you want an egg, a Doro, or a Fumo. I guess you would want a Doro since you want to be matchy, right? Matchy. Done. Save up, done. W Rat. I want 10k points too. I'm sorry. I need to stream more. Minesweeper for 2026. Yeah, Minesweeper. Pinball. Solitaire. Windows 95 edition. That's my game of the year. That would be awful. We shouldn't ban anyone, methinks. Yeah. Let's make it a good challenge, because if your game is excellent, it will win on its own. If it's not rigged, maybe we need to ban. No, rats are very much welcome. Rats are adorable, especially this rat in chat. Rat in chat, that rhymed. Rat in chat. Rat in chat. Rat in chat.
彼にも同じことを聞いたけど、同じことを言ってたわ。
Why is your name RV, by the way? Have you played RV there yet? Or is it like an acronym for your name? Is your name Ralph Vincent? Why did you say the VTF? Can't believe this. Can't believe what? References at yeah, thank you. I will look into it after stream because I don't have Discord open. Thank you. Please expect the doodle in 1 to 2 weeks. Because I'm lazy. But thank you. So guys, if you save up 10,000 points 10,000 points. You can redeem the doodle redeem, and you can choose from one of these art styles. And you just send me the reference, and I will make that for you as a little thank you for racking up the points. R and V are one of my code names. Ooh, in my head, your name is Ralph Vincent. Just kidding, Ralph Vincent. What the? What's next? I kind of want to check out the event. This one. Can I do it? Does it not have an end date? Guess what? You guess one of them, you're really something, huh? Wait, did I get Ralph or Vincent correct? Vincent Valentine. I'm so confused. In Wuthering Waves, you have to click control to access the menu, the mouse. In here, it's alt. It doesn't have a deadline? Is it a permanent event? Also, it sucks that the free character already have C6 of all of them. C6 Razor, C6 Fischl, and C6 Sucrose. But I guess I'm gonna choose Razor because it's Razor. I'm gonna check out the event. We'll do the next Arc Conquest maybe in another stream if I don't do it offline, which is very unlikely because I have to reiterate, I am obsessed with Where Winds Meet. The Knights of Favonius.
図書館で本を整理するだけなのに特急の依頼だって言われたから、それにしたってこれはすごすぎるぞ。
あら、可愛い子ちゃん。それにパイモンちゃんもモンドに戻ってくる時間ができたの。
This is the OG mommy.
お姉さんのことが恋しくなっちゃって。
How is it? I will DM you the correct answers you get. If you want to, that's fine. But if you don't really want to say what RV stands for, that is totally fine as well. Because what other names are there that starts with V? Vandolf. There's a V and there's a guy called V in BTS. I think V can also mean 5 in Roman. V is in... I can't think of any other V.
それなら本当に助かるわ。見ての通り、最近とある匿名希望の支援者さんが目録をざっと確認したけど、
there's a
ど
lot
れも
of
図書館にはなかった新しい本ばかり。それにジャンルも様々で。
It's a mystery actually what you got your answers though, so it's interesting that you know it. I was just curious. What RV stands for. Because for me RV is from the hit game RV. Recreational vehicle, that's what it stands for.
でもあなたたちが来てくれたなら安心だわ。アフタヌーンティーをご馳走したいところだけど、この状況だとそれも難しそうね。
大丈夫だぞ。リサさんの依頼ならオイラたちに
He told me that too when I appear chatting on their streams. They're curious.
ここはあなたたちにお願いするわ。邪魔にならないよう私はここで失礼するわね。
So we're just organizing books for Lisa. Anything is a recreational vehicle if you try. That is true though. That is true, Toaster.
一体どんな本なんだ
Lisa the alpha mama. She's the OG mama. She's the OG mama. She was the mommy before all the present mommies. She was there from day one. Our mommy, Lisa. Ayun, ara-ara. She does ara-ara sometimes, right? In the Japanese dub.
これは
In the
小
Japanese
さな
dub.
魔女の辞典魔女って聞くとどうしても思い浮かぶのは
The OG, exactly. Mommy Lisa.
私を探してるの
Alice!
アリスどこから現れたんだ
パイモンは気づいてないかもしれないけど、私が急に現れたわけじゃない。あの辞典を開いた瞬間から、あなたたちは魔女の領域に入ってる。
I'm starting to think that you have a thing for mommies? No.
なんか変だと思ったんだ
Mommies are based though. I like mommies. I like mommy figures more than the cutesy you know how in anime characters, game characters have stereotypes, right? I guess I like mommies more than the cutesy girls more. Addie's a mama voice too, what the heck, yeah. I'm so excited. Oh my god, Clarky. I don't know if Clarky is there, but I'm guessing he's played it, they played it, the Archon Quest. I think Alice is gonna be there, like Alice in like her real form. You like mommies? I walked away for 1 second. I do like mommies. Is there anyone who does not like mommies? Like from the moment we were born, we were conditioned to like mommies.
それなら説明しやすいね。内容は全然関係ないけど、この本は一応あの物語のために作られた辞典ってことになるんだ。
そんな風に説明されたら余計にわからなくなったぞ。
Cool
どこから話せばいいかしら。
Are you gonna stay up just a couple more hours till the donut place opens up, Bessie? I don't like mommies, I have mommy issues. I like cougars. What's the difference? What is the difference? Educate us, don't forget you give them milks. Damn. For me, the momminess is not based on their physical attributes, but more so on their attitude, you know? Cougars are 50 plus? Is that the difference? Mommies are probably... You can be 20 and be a mommy as long as you have the mommy mindset, is that it? But cougars are like 50 plus. Ah, because cougars, they like sugar mommies, right? Sugar mommies? Sugar mommies? Yeah, then probably some why. Yeah, I'm just curious because, you know, it's almost 6 p.m. here. That means it's almost 7:30 in there. If we just wait a little longer, cougars stop out at like 45. Wait! There's a discourse about the momminess and the cougarness of a person. Whatever. I like mommies, who cares a lot, and that's what we need. Yeah, the momminess is inside of you. Cougars are predatory like the animal. Ah, I see. Sugar mommies that will buy me all I want, count me and thank you. Why were you summoned when we talked about sugar mommies? You naughty boy, bonk. Age range for a cougar is like 25 to 45. RIP! What if I'm just a rich 25-year-old girl who wants to shower my man with money? Am I a cougar? Lord, I don't wanna know. It's 4:47, it's so long. Wait, 5 to 6 to 7, 2 hours and a half. Are you gonna be a mommy voice? I wish I had mommy voice. It's just not sustainable for me to speak in a mommy voice. And I think I have a mommy voice, but when I rewatch the VOD. It's not very mommy at all. You ain't 25. I'm 2000. And it's just an example. If a woman is 25 years old and she has money to spoil her boyfriend, her husband, does that make her a cougar? Or not even her... Let's go! Or not even her partner, her potential partner. If that's the case, I'd go feral for a woman to be aged. You'd go feral for someone who has money? Money?
簡単に言うとこの辞
Money,
典には
money!
バービーの水裏の番を見た魔
I
女た
guess
ち
so.
が作ったモンドの人々のための課題がたくさん載ってるの。共通の目標のために仲間たちと一緒に困難を乗り
You
越
know,
えて
whatever the
成長
case
する
is, whether they're a mommy, a cougar, or a gilf, as long as they're a hot older woman, that's it. You don't need to categorize them.
ことが起こるみたい
79 for that sweet Tenchu. Only Tenchu understands me. You don't understand. We don't want a mommy or a sugar mommy or a cougar. We want someone who has a written will. Last will and testament. That's what we go for. Not the money. I don't care about the money. I just like older women. Selfie, let's get it.
も
Yes.
しかして最初からこの話にオイラたちを巻き込もうとしてたのか
まさかこん
I
な
want
こと
to
に
be
なる
in
な
your
んて思っても
insurance.
いなかった
I want to be part of your insurance. Make me a benefactor.
でもこんな
I
重
can
要
only
な
get
もの
older women. The older women were obsessed with me at first. That's because you're a cutie.
だから
A written will, yes. It has to be written in black and white. With a black and white with your signature and a lawyer's signature. That's my type.
別に悪いことじゃないし
Benefactor.
ね
Exactly.
あなたたちにとっても
Bad
仲間
bitches.
に会える良い機会になるんだし
Cha-ching.
私を助けると思って
まったくお前にはかなわないな
If I am such a cutie, where are my
今
girls'
度のみんなを
age?
助けられるなら
Maybe you're not meant for that life. Maybe you're meant to
この辞
be.
典はオイラたちが預かっとく
Wait,
ぜ
maybe you're meant to
今
be
度みん
with
なに会うとき
people
本の中の課題を
that have a
届けてあ
higher
げよ
age range than you. Are we go? Are we doing a crime here? We're not. No, no. We're just imagining how much better our life
仲
would
間
be
たちと楽し
if
く
we
過ごせ
were
るよ
with
祈ってるよ
a mommy or any variation of a mommy. Anyone older than us. Preferably rich. I wanna be for that life. Excuse me. Each witch's homework quest is focused on a specific character. Obtain the corresponding character and increase their level to 70 to unlock their related quest. Talk to Lisa. Isn't Lisa also the name of that girl from Blackpink? Wait, is that Ella Musk? It's Ella Musk. The random Helichurlian. We are ending in a bit. I just wanna see what the event is about.
もう全部の可愛い子ちゃんは何か欲しいものある？あなたたちのおかげで午後の時間が丸々空いたんだし、一緒に過ごすのもいいわね。
See? I'd like to be
大丈
paid.
夫。
Or
報
about
酬は
that
ちゃんと
money.
渡すから
Money,
安心して。
money.
でも他にも気になっていることがあるんじゃないか。あなたたちも気づいたでしょ？今回の本、名前から内容までどれも変わっているのよね。それにここは北の大陸最大の図書館なのよ。聞いたこともない新しい本がこんなに届くなんて本来ありえないの。考えられるとしたら、
実はさっき
M0 underscore if
どうやら
just
お姉さんの
followed.
知りたくない面倒事みたいね。
Mo Raffet, thank you so much for the
どうや
follow.
ら
Appreciate it. Thank
も
you,
う
thank
こ
you.
の世
And
界に
welcome.
存在している
I
書
could
籍
do
なんだ
it
し、
now.
図
I
書
hope
館
this
に保管する
conversation
必要
isn't
が
too
ある。
weird for you.
ここに置いておくわ
Earlier we
ね。
were talking about the Game
外に流れ
Awards
て
and
変
how
な人の手に渡る
possibly
より
rigged it is,
ずっ
and
といい
now
わ。
we're talking about
それじゃあ
older people.
これが報酬
You
ね。
know? If you know, you
今回
know.
もお疲れ様。
IYKYK. I ask AI if it's possible to be in another world when we pass away, but always get rejected or denied. Maybe they programmed it not to talk about the afterlife or anything about death. Don't talk to AI. They're not gonna give you the right answers. Older people and their money. Yeah, that's it. Older people. They have more wisdom, they have more experience, and more importantly, they have more money. That's what we're about. No, maybe someday we're all gonna become old enough to become that kind of person. The one with more money, the one with more wisdom, and with the one with more experience. Hello, hello, how are you doing? Happy Sunday! They call you Mo. Is that Mo or M0? Where are we going? I wanna see if there's a Razer specific event. Invite character. I already have C6 of all of them. Yes. Thank you for the Razer constellation that I really get stuff from that. Damn right, Celphy. Actually testing them with those Yes. Do not believe in AI. They will lead you to the wrong path. No, just kidding. I watched somewhere that AI doesn't really have its own intelligence. If anything, it's just compiling whatever it can find from the internet and consolidates it for you. I am the right path. Exactly. AI is dumb, yeah. It's still like in it still has a long way to go, I think. It hasn't even done the thing that's supposed to be helping humanity yet. If anything, it's taking jobs from humanity. They make up shit to that. Yeah, sometimes they do, right? It's not just that they're telling you the stuff that they learned from the internet, but they're also telling you straight up lies sometimes just to please you. OpenAI, what? Not OpenAI. ChatGPT used to be like that. They said that's why they changed it. All ChatGPT did was agree with you before. Oh yes, we don't have Venti, we don't have Clay, we have Albebe. Do we do Albebe or Razer? I wanna do Razer. With Lufical. They took your jobs. They took their jobs. Now Americans don't have to be afraid of foreigners taking their jobs. AI will also be taking their jobs. So, rip. Albebe. That's my baby. Albaby. Albedo. We're gonna end stream after we meet Razer. Razer was very special to me, to my heart, because Razer was my first ever DPS. Yeah, ending stream soon because I'm hungry. I'm hungry and I have to go have dinner with my mom because it's a Sunday. It's a no. I'm sorry. Maybe if I streamed more at night, I'd be able to stream for longer, even up to the early hours of the morning. I used to do that. I would stream at 10 p.m. my time, and then I would stream until 4 a.m. Sometimes even 5 a.m. Say hi to mom. I will. Will you go back toaster sometime next week? I will. The way robots keep breaking down, I think it will be a while until robot or AI take over. Yes, Dash, I believe that too. I believe that. As of now, AI is still kinda funky. I don't know what the right word. Gnarly. Let's go gnarly. It's not perfect. Still has a long way to go. The generative one, they still can't make it as realistic as the real movies, I think. But then I can reach Celphy screams because I do the inverse. What is the inverse? My hair was Slash. Is it your morning already? Wait. What's happening? I remember. I'm back. You went AFK. I stayed up too late. We hate AI here, I think. Yeah, kinda. We do hate AI. We hate AI, especially generative AI, the one that's taking jobs from artists. That's what we hate. 4 a.m. Happy 4 a.m. Oh no. Are you gonna rest soon? Are you gonna rest soon? Not hating AI, but the current overhype right now is dumb at best. Yeah, I think AI has potential. Please don't hate on me, but I think AI has potential to, you know, improve our lives, make mundane tasks easier. But it shouldn't be taking jobs from artists, and you know, it shouldn't be taking over skills that require human logic and reasoning. I think it's good, like for checking, maybe. You know, when you're an entry level employee and you do robotic stuff, maybe AI can do that for you, so you can focus on things that, you know, can improve you. It's around 4 a.m. I woke up to put laundry to dry. Why did you wake up at 4 a.m. to put laundry to dry? AI is cringe and yucky. I just remember that AI can be helpful in some situations, right? To make repetitive stuff easier, but like not the whole thing. Like I heard or I saw McDonald's and Coca-Cola recently released fully AI generated ads, and I think that was so bad because they're a multi-billion, maybe trillion company, and they couldn't afford to get real artists for that. Real artists, real actors, real cameramen, real directors. It'll never take those skills over. It's just that people think it will, so people use it as an excuse not to pay people and end up with a very bad product. You know what? Even the brands that we see on supermarkets now, sometimes they use AI graphics, and that is disgusting. The problem is less about potential for good. People apply it all under one umbrella when it is far more vast of a concept. Yeah, like deepfakes. Is that what you're talking about? It has potential to be good, but regardless, people will find a way to use it for bad things. Is that what you mean? The McDonald's Max, man, I didn't see it. Just randomly when I scrolled Twitter, I saw very like 1 or 2 seconds of it. Couldn't afford. Oh, they could. They won. Yeah. Whatever that number is. 1,000? 12,000. Wait, 1,000? 1,000,000% good. They just didn't want to. They just wanted to be, you know how the tech bros, not just tech bros, you know, the millionaire, billionaire tech bros, they really believe that AI is the next thing. That's why, I don't know, rich boys club, I guess, rich people club. I put my laundry to wash around 12 a.m. Fell asleep before it finished washing. They need to wear it the next day. That's why you had to wake up at 4 a.m. AI is literally used in games already for computer decisions. It can also help in art, but it needs to be used as a tool rather than a Yeah, that's how I feel about it, bestie. The mundane, repetitive tasks that a robot can do, let AI do that. But for like actual art creative process should not be. I disagree as it being a useful tool. There are already better tools, and generative AI has many issues that end up hurting more than helping. I see. I think bestie Draco is talking about AI here in general, not generative AI. Because yeah, even before AI was a thing in the 2020s and maybe even the 2010s, they were already using AI, right? Our NPCs have AI in them. Even the old school games. What the dog doing? The dog. Oh, are we supposed to? Where is Razor? The dog doing, Clarky. I didn't continue with the Archon quest anymore. I just checked out the event where you can do stories from Mondstadt characters. And we're also talking about AI, whether it's good or bad. We can all agree that generally, generative AI is bad. Oh, the witch homer, yeah! This is a permanent event, right, Clarky? Is it? I think it is. It didn't have a deadline. I'm just saying, guys, even if AI is there and it's so convenient and so accessible for you, if it's something that you can do using your own skill, your own talent, your own brain, do it yourself. Do not rely on AI, because if you do, it will make you dumb, then everyone will become dumb. It's permanent, yay! Maybe off stream, because you know, sometimes, Clarky, I want to experience the story for myself. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we agree on that. We all agree. AI, generative AI, is bad. As much as possible, if you can, do not use it. If you can do it, don't use it. Rely on yourself. I heard there's a saying, I don't know if it's factual or just like a saying, that our brain is a muscle. So if we want it to work better, we have to exercise it. I am not an artist, but I was explained by an artist there was some sort of tool AI was used, and I can't quite remember what it was. I wasn't referring to Gen AI. Yeah. Because for the longest time, there's always been AI, even in games, and even in Photoshop, even before the AI thing was a trend. There's always been AI. It's generative AI that is bad. The one that learns from other art and replicates that art, that is bad AI. There's also like an AI song software now, right? I think that's really bad as well. I don't know what tool would it be. Do you know the name? I'm sure there's Can I tell you it wasn't a Twitter post I saw a while ago? Yeah, I just know in games there is AI. And PCs are powered by AI. They are artificial intelligence. To be fair, I think the biggest thing is that AI is a misleading name because it's not intelligent in any way, even artificially. Intelligence.
お前たちが助けてくれたらきっとうまくいく。
でもどうやって狩りを始めればいいんだ？
俺たち獲物を罠に追い込むみたいに。
When I first started playing Genshin, I played on a really low-end phone.
閉じ込めてくれる。
I didn't know that it was the graphics were so bad. I didn't know that Razor had dark circles under his eyes. I know it sounds like I'm dunking on AI, but say that with full seriousness. Yeah, you mean Gen AI, and Draco didn't mean Gen AI. Also, I am dunking on Gen AI. The Skynet Revolution would be cool though. What is Skynet Revolution, Clarky? I don't think I've heard of that. A buzzword at heart. Let's do this. We start hunt. What hunt? What hunt? Why is the whole gang here? The AI from Terminator movies is called Skynet, is that it? Skynet. Skynet. It's kind of funny, isn't it? A long time ago, when OpenAI was just starting, Elon Musk was like, we should not support or further develop AI because it will destroy humanity. But now he's a front runner in AI with his XAI Grok. Continue onward. Also, a really funny AI quote that I found when I was watching Silicon Valley. There's this guy there who was really anti-AI, but in the end he was like, I don't wanna. When the time comes that AI and robots take over the world, I don't want them to be mad at me, so I'm just gonna join them. The AI overlords. Just AI as a concept, I'm not. I just think the term is used misleading 9 ways. Yeah, especially from the start of like 2020. Cause when I was working pre-pandemic, when we hear about AI as a tool in advertising, I imagine that's like 2020, 2021, 2022. It used to sound really cool that your software has artificial intelligence. That means it can analyze things on its own. But since the boom of AI as a buzzword, like 2023, right? It became like synonymous to something bad and fake. Bad and fake. And making people dumb.
敵を追い払ってくれてるのか？
でもこれ狼の問題じゃない。
レザーがルピカを助けたいのと同じで、ルピカもお前を危険な
Why did I mention AI and work? Oh yeah, because I work in advertising, right? Advertising and you know, these big... For example, Facebook would come to us telling us, please buy our ads. We have artificial intelligence. We will make it easier for you to plan your ads because we have an intelligent software that decides for you where to place your ads. And we're like, ooh, intelligence. I can see you spend points on other things like this. A stretch! Thank you. Thanks so much.
そうか。
きっとそうだ。よし、狼たちと一緒に。
Why did the conversation become AI? Why? Did I start that? It's fine though. It's fine though. These are healthy conversations, right? Big brain conversations. Do I have to fight them? Let's fight them and then let's end stream. Can I exit out of this quest? Yes, run away. Run away, run away. I think this is a girl. You're currently a SWA. Do you wish to leave? Okay. Because I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Yeah, I guess this is a good point to end the stream. Stream. Sorry if the conversation became heated at times. What's your ulam for tonight? I am hungry. What was I gonna say? My ulam is adobo! Adobong manok. My ulam is adobo. It's meat with soy sauce and vinegar. Yum 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 yum. Yes, what was your ulam? Manak. Yes, adobong manok and baboy. CPA, chicken pork adobo. Ulam, is that veggie mix? It's like meat mix. It's what you pair your rice with. We call that ulam, Tenchu. What's your ulam? So if you're having like that's it, beef and rice, the ulam is beef. If you're having nilagang baka, replay from lunch. Oh, my adabaw is also replay from lunch. Yung mikan, my mom did the thing. My mom did the thing with curry. She's made Japanese curry. We have the curry mix, right? She's making it Filipino style, and honestly, I like it. Our ulam is mostly veggie. Roast ulam as well. Veggie mix served with rice. Yum, healthy. Mikan says sarap. Masarap. Nilagang baka. I had nilagang baka yesterday. Mikan. Although my brother bought it from outside, Filipino style, add coconut milk. No, she she added more butter than usual so that there will be more sauce. And she added, usually you put some bits of meat on it, right? She put a lot of meat on it. And I think she added some additional spices because it was saltier than I remember. That's why I think she made it Filipino style. Man, I miss making curry. If I could, I would send you some curry ingredients. Make me some curry. Yeah, we're ending here. I hope our conversations were fun even though they were controversial. I don't know if I have the best takes. Also, I'm not good at, I'm not that good in, what do you call this? Being firm with my convictions or whatever. I'm always so mid in my takes. I'm sorry about that. But it was fun. Good work for today. Love the apps. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Hey, thank you everyone for being here. I hope you have wonderful meals and the wonderful rest of your day. Sunday night for me. Sunday night for some of us. What else was I gonna say? Yeah. Thank you so much for chatting, keeping me company. The bits and the subs, appreciate you also so much, and the new follows as well. I think we got a couple of new follows. I'll see you all again, hopefully in the middle of the week. Well, talk about bad timing, Misha. Yes, I am ending, but it is okay. It is okay. I will be back soon, my baby boy. That was so random. Sorry, my baby boy. So yeah, we're ending. Even if Celphy became bald and giving hot takes, I'll still be here. Thank you. Appreciate you, my old friend, my good old friend. Thank you. Even if I became bald, if I was a rage baiter, would you still be here? I keep missing stream. It's okay, Risha. Are you busy? It's fine. I know you sent me a message on Discord, and I was like, I was playing something when I got the notification. I was like, I should check that after, and then I just forgot to check it after. That's a bad habit of mine. I know that you messaged me, but I'm not gonna look at it at the moment because you're probably gaming or something like that, or talking to someone. But yeah, it's okay, Misha. You're always in my heart and always in my streams, even if you're not there. If I became a YouTuber, would you still be here? Not that I'm planning to. I did. I sent a video of our Christmas lighting in our plaza. Oh, I remember that happening last year as well, right? You also shared that last year. YouTuber, what? No, I'm not planning to. I'm just thinking of what I could possibly do that could make you, not want to see me. Not want to see me. Rage baiter, YouTuber. I lost my voice because of it. It's okay. Rest your voice. Rest your voice. Why is it so quiet? Because Genshin is minimized. I hate the quiet. So yeah, I'm ending for real. Thank you so much everyone for being here. I really appreciate you. Thank you for showing up, despite me not being able to stream a lot. My mid takes, my hot takes, my yapping, my mid gaming. Ay, you got Yahoda. I got Yahoda too. Constellations because of Durin. If you were a guy, maybe. That's gonna make you stop watching me or talking to me if I were a guy. If I were a boy. I have voice mod actually. I should use that sometime. I have voice mod. The app that changes your voice. Does it have? I think it has a cute filter. Maybe it has a man filter as well. I can finally speak my truth as a 40-year-old man dressing up as a VTuber. Now I can focus on Colombina. Colombina will be there soon. Colombina is very soon. We already have leaks of her.
なぜ亡霊を怖がる
But
必要が
yeah, thank you so much again, everyone. I'm really ending for real. I'm so bad at saying goodbye. see you guys again next stream or around Discord or wherever. Thank you so much. Shut up! Shut up! This guy won't shut up. Yeah, kalubuin na soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day, okay? I'll see you guys. I love you all so much. Goodbye. Happy Rooms I stream, happy Gusting. I'm happy to see your name too. I'm about to say, see, I take forever because I don't know how to do a perfect goodbye. Bye everyone, bye Rad, bye Weekend, bye Country, bye Misha, bye everyone for being here. I love and adore all of you. I love you. Bye bye. Chorizo!